2 leaves and a bud. That is how you pick the world's finest tea. Tea that has grown in the cool, serene, green Kenyan highlands, and tea that will guarantee you a refreshing feel after a dose of your daily morning stimulant. But what if you're a driving enthusiast? How do you pick the perfect vehicle? A vehicle that will guarantee you a refreshing feel after driving it and pushing it to its limit on an open country road. Well, your process has to start with choosing a car from this particular manufacturer. And this manufacturer has built cars that have impacted the global driving community like a tattoo would impact a human body, leaving a permanent scar. And vehicles from this particular manufacturer are often disliked by the people who drive luxury cars that bear a 3-point star. And we are happy to be reviewing this vehicle because it's the perfect definition of what a car should be, and it comes from the manufacturer BMW. Well, when we talk about BMW has had taglines like sheer driving pleasure, the ultimate driving machine. Their unique selling point has been the driving experience that their vehicles have to offer. But they have gone a notch higher by trying to be innovative in terms of combining practicality and performance. And through that, they have come up with vehicles such as this one right here. This is what we call a sports activity coupe, and it's basically a crossbreed between a luxury sedan and a mid-sized crossover SUV. So when you crossbreed the two, this is what you get. It's made to be stylish yet have an SUV feel in a coupe packaging, and that is why we want to get up close and candid with this vehicle, tell you more about it and why it's so exciting to be seen in and also to drive. And we are doing that because AutoConnect is the only channel that will guarantee you an alluring motor vehicle experience. I'll be your host, Eric Okabi, Eric with a CK, giving you an up close and candid review of the 2017 BMW X6 F16. And you can follow me at a personal level on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok as well. My handle is Eric Okabi, Eric with a CK. And now let's get up close and candid with the 2017 BMW X6 F16. Before we start talking about the prima facie, the first impression of this BMW X6 F16, I would like to let you know that we have borrowed this car from Carplicity Autos, the home of quality cars. Carplicity are located at Ridgeways, Kiambu Road, and in case you want to check out this BMW X6 or any other vehicle that you might be in search for, you can call Kevin or David. Their number is in the description below. Now back to the BMW X6. Well, the BMW X6 is currently in its 2nd generation, and this particular one is the F16 generation. Well, from afar it looks like the BMW 7 Series, but it has a rather awkward look when you go to the side because it has big tires, an SUV stance, but a coupe packaging. Well, BMW actually pioneered the sports activity coupe design or body design of a motor vehicle. So it was a very innovative design language, and it was taken up with mixed feelings and mixed reactions. So many people feel that it does not look good, but to me it does look quite it's quite impressive. It's sporty. It has the sporty aspect of a coupe, yet the clearance of an SUV, plus the performance of a true BMW. And I always tell you guys that if you want to drive a true BMW, it has to have an inline 6 engine with an 8-speed automatic transmission. And guess what? This is what this BMW X6 has under the hood. And now, without further ado, let me take you under the hood of the BMW X6 F16. Powering up this BMW X6 F16 is the N55 engine. Let me give you a few properties of the N55 engine. It has 3 liters of displacement, 3000 cc. It has an inline 6 design, meaning it has 6 cylinders that are placed on a straight line. And you know BMW is known for building robust straight 6 engines. And the other feature is that it features forced induction and it is driven by a chain. Are we together? Now, let's talk about the specific generation of the N55, because the N55 came in several generations. This particular one is the N55 B30 M0, and the power output on this one is 300 horsepower and 400 Newton meters of torque. And I told you it features turbocharging. Now let's talk about turbocharging, because there are a lot of misconceptions out there concerning the turbos used on this N55 motor, and also on BMW's lineup. So if you look at many BMWs, you will find this badge on top of the engines, the twin power turbo. And most people think that BMWs feature twin turbochargers. Like, you know, twin turbochargers mean you have 2 turbochargers, one on this side and the other one on this side, or irrespective of how they are arranged. But that is not the case. Twin power turbo basically means that this engine runs on a twin scroll turbocharger. How different is a twin scroll turbocharger from a single scroll turbocharger? If you have been watching AutoConnect for long, by now I perceive that you know that turbochargers are fed by exhaust gases. So on a single scroll turbocharger, the exhaust gas inlet is only one, but on a twin scroll turbocharger you have 2 exhaust gas inlets, and this helps in utilizing or maximum utilization of the pulses, of the exhaust gas pulses from the exhaust system. And the other feature of this twin scroll turbocharger is it has 2 nozzles. It has one smaller nozzle that is installed at a steep gradient, and another secondary nozzle that is bigger and installed at a less steep gradient. Now the small nozzle is for usage within low RPMs, and the bigger nozzle is for usage within high RPMs. Now this can closely relate to what is called a variable geometry turbo, and variable geometry turbos generally reduce turbo lag. Are we together? So yes, this features a twin scroll turbocharger and not twin turbocharged. Sawa? So hii haitumii turbo mbili, hii inatumia turbo moja yenye iko na scroll mbili. I hope that is going to be of assistance to people who are watching this from Kenya. I had to use some Swahili to try and make it a little bit simpler. So twin scroll turbocharger has 2 exhaust gas inlets and 2 nozzles. A single scroll turbocharger has only 1 exhaust gas inlet, and BMW does not. This particular BMW, and most BMWs, do not feature twin turbocharging. They feature twin scroll turbocharging, and that is why you have this badge over here, twin power turbo. Now let's get now to the transmission. Kama kawaida, I told you the second thing, if you need a good vehicle that will guarantee you driving thrill, is having a good transmission. Now power is transmitted to the wheels. The 300 horsepower and the 400 Newton meters of torque are transmitted to the wheels through an 8-speed automatic transmission. So that is what you get in terms of these vehicles' power and drivetrain. Another thing to note about this engine is that it has been mounted longitudinally. What do you know about engines that have been mounted longitudinally? They are used to drive vehicles that have purely rear-wheel drive applications, right? But on this particular BMW, and I'm going to show you these, if you step to the side, you will see this badge over here. Now it says X-Drive 35i. Now X-Drive 35i basically means X-Drive. It's all-wheel drive. So this one is not rear-wheel drive. This one is all-wheel drive. Now the 35i means it's a petrol 3-liter engine. Now if it was a diesel, it would be 35D. Now we have other engine options on this particular vehicle, but let's talk about the most common, and that is what is in this car we have here. Now you also get an M badge, and you see, if you're buying a BMW from most Kenyan showrooms, they'll tell you, oh, hii ni M Sport. You know, most of these salespeople do not realize what an M Sport really is and how expensive an M Sport is. Well, this is not an M Sport. This is an M package. In fact, M Sport vehicles are actually very, very, very rare. It's hard to find an M Sport being sold in the Kenyan market space, especially the used car market, the foreign used car market space, because they are pricey, and these are vehicles that are bought by real enthusiasts who are willing to spend a lot of money. So this is not an M Sport, this is an M package. And with the M package, it means it gets some few features that you would get from an M Sport. And these features are purely aesthetic, like you're going to have M Sport wheels, an M Sport steering wheel, M inspired. Actually, they are not real M Sport, they are only M inspired. Now, let's talk about suspension. The BMW X6 F16 features double wishbone suspension at the front and independent rear suspension. And here I'm going to bring out another term, adaptive suspension. Now, the X6 features adaptive suspension, meaning if you put it in sport mode, the suspension becomes more stiffer to keep the vehicle adhesive to the road. But if you switch it to comfort, the suspension system becomes softer. Now that is what is called adaptive suspension. Let's talk about now what is called active suspension. Active suspension is what you would find on a vehicle that has height control. Inaweza inuka na ishuke, and that is mostly controlled by airbags. So what we have on the BMW X6 F16 is not active suspension, it is adaptive suspension. But what you have in, say, a Discovery 4 is active suspension. Are we together up to that point? So yes, double wishbones at the front, rear independent suspension, that is adaptive. Let's talk about the styling of the BMW X6 F16, and we are going to start with the side profile. BMW pioneered the sports activity coupe design, and in essence this is bringing together the clearance of a crossover SUV and packaging it to look like a sports coupe. And this design would actually appeal to people who have critical and extreme sense of fashion. Hii gari, to drive it you need the confidence ya mtu akona kipara kuambia kinyozi anyoe fade. Yeah, because it calls for a very different approach to fashion and style, and it will take somebody who is very deep into fashion to appreciate how the BMW X6 F16 looks like. In my perspective, it's actually very stylish and very unique. It has a very ubiquitous design outside, and that is transformed to the rear. You know, it's rare for an SUV to have a design that is so sleek yet so sporty. And to many people, the BMW X6 might be an eyesore, especially with the coupe design. But let me be frank and tell you something. You see, if you don't find the BMW X6 F16 attractive, then that simply means that you are not in the niche that was meant for the BMW X6. In short, it is not for you. It takes somebody who has a very deep and critical taste of fashion and elegance to appreciate the BMW X6 coupe design. Are we together? Now, the other funny thing, if you look at the sloping roofline of the BMW X6, you might think that the cargo space is limited. Well, think again. The cargo space in the BMW X6 F16 is actually quite good. In fact, it's quite a lot for a vehicle that has a coupe design or a coupe style when it comes to the rear of the vehicle. One of the things I don't like about the BMW X6 is actually in the rear row of seats, because with the second row of seats you don't get ample headroom. That is one thing. And number two, those seats are not very comfortable. But when you're driving this car, remember, BMWs are mostly not meant for the passengers. Only luxury BMWs like the top trim 7 series and 9 series, those are meant for pure luxury, and that is what the BMW X6 F16 is all about: style, performance, and driving experience. And that is what this car is made for. So if you want those three things, then the X6 might be a good model for you to consider. Driving the BMW X6 F16, well, it does not go against BMW's promise of sheer driving pleasure. In fact, if you're a driving enthusiast, it really delivers the mantra of being the ultimate driving machine. Yes, it's a crossover SUV, but it drives like a sports coupe, and that is why it's a sports active coupe. Yes, and a crossover SUV with coupe styling. Now, what I told you, if you put this car in Sports Plus, that is when the fun really kicks in. You know, the gears hold longer, the traction control goes off, and as you attack a sharp corner, you feel the understeer once you're going inside the corner. Then once you get to the apex and start now steering on the other side, you get a feeling of oversteer. The vehicle unleashes the 300 horsepower and 400 newton meters of torque, making you hit the corner like thunder and get out of it like a smoke. So yes, driving this vehicle is sheer driving pleasure. It might look bulky, but driving it is not bulky at all. Now, let's talk about the key thing here, and that is value for money. Well, if you're buying the BMW X6 F16 from Carplicity, it will set you back around 6.5 million Kenya shillings. But if you go there and say you've been sent by Eric Okabi from AutoConnect, you will get a crazy AutoConnect discount, and you can call David or Kevin. Their numbers are in the description below. Now, 6.5 million Kenya shillings for the value you get is, no, it's not badly priced, considering that smaller vehicles like the Porsche Macan are priced at around 6 million. The Audi Q5, which is very different from this car, and this drives better, you get more power, you get better handling. They are retailing for close to 6 million. So 6.5 for this, or even get it for lower through an AutoConnect discount. Well, it's a vehicle that not any Tom, Dick and Harry will buy. This is a vehicle for somebody who values BMW's promise of performance and the sheer driving pleasure, and also somebody who has quite a lot of confidence, because with this styling you need to have a lot of confidence to park at a parking lot in a wedding or a funeral or even a ratio. For you to walk out of this car, you need to have that extra taste of style, that extra taste of confidence, and that is what makes the BMW X6 an X6. Confidence, performance, style and elegance. This vehicle is like the French people. They don't go for subtle styling, they go for extreme styling, and that is what, even in fashion, somebody who drives a BMW X6 would also be comfortable to wear very unconventional yet stylish clothing. And most people might consider stylish clothing as obscene or awkward, yet to the eyes of the people who value that style, that is the in thing. And that is why the BMW X6 is actually an in thing to the people who value the sports activity coupe design styling. And so, would I buy a BMW X6 coupe? Yes, I would. In fact, I would go for it. I would choose this over the Mercedes-Benz GLE coupe, because again, we have to give credit where it's due. You see, now with BMW pioneering this sports activity coupe design language, it led to guys like Mercedes. You know, there has been that competition between Mercedes and BMW, but when BMW pioneered this and got a niche for this kind of sports activity styling, Mercedes-Benz thought, why don't we also do it in a GLE? But then we should bring a GLE coupe to Auto Connect for you guys to get to see it and also compare it with the BMW X6 F16. I've been your host, Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK. Would I buy a BMW X6 F16? Yes, I would. For one thing, performance, the driving thrill and experience, and also it basically feels like a 7 Series with a bit of clearance, and that makes it, you know, more practical and you can access more places. So yes, I would buy a BMW X6. Sasa, remember to follow me at a personal level, Eric Okabi on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok. Eric with a CK is my handle. Now, one more thing, remember we offer services such as pre-purchase inspection. Usinunue gari kama mbuzi, hata mbuzi mtu huangalia meno. So over and out, guys. See you on Tuesday, because on Tuesday we have a surprise for you guys. Gari moja local used safi sana that you should consider if you're working with a very low budget. Now let me accelerate through the corner and get to have some fun with this BMW X6 F16.